All right, it's Youth Central Sports. That means that it must be Wednesday, must be 11 o'clock Eastern time, because I have with me the original Coach Carter. How you doing, Coach?
Good evening, good evening, good evening. All is well on this in this end. How you doing on that end?
Hey man, hey, listen, I got a question for you. By the way, this Youth Central Sports,
Okay.
Charles Moore with Coach Vince Carter, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Question for you. You know the weather been changing. You're in Tennessee, so what's the weather like there?
Right now we're at 40. We're at 30. What I'm seeing. Hold on. Let me give you an update.
Okay.
Uh, we're at 46 right now, and we're gonna get down a little bit lower later on tonight. So we've hit that cool snap. We're going into our winter. We
Okay.
haven't been above 65 as a high since about a week now. We've been down to 39. We're gonna see some more temperatures, but it's gonna get a little nippy over the weekend. So we're here, and
Oh,
what that means, Charles, what that means is that if we're getting those kinds of temperature, that means high school basketball is less than 5 days away from official start. So you better know we're happy on this end.
you know what's funny is I can remember when I was as a matter of fact, for for some odd reason I can remember December 6th. And
Hmm.
December 6th just stuck out of my mind because when I was in eighth grade, that was the date of our first game of the season.
Uh-huh.
And that whole anticipation, because I know what it's like as a player, the anticipation, waiting for the season to start. But what is it like for a coach?
Oh man, especially it's nerve wracking because you got a lot of different things that you've seen over, say, since the summer that we've had. We've had a lot of open gyms. We had some workouts. So you're beginning to see the team take shape in parts and pieces. And doing some of the open gyms, we've got a chance to really see all those pieces come together. Now we want to fine tune it. We really want to put that stamp on it, and so you get real excited. You see players who have improved. They're bigger, they're taller, they're faster. The IQ is going up. We put that group together. We watch them play out and go against each other, and you just get. I speak for myself. For me, I get so excited because I'm ready to really get in there and tweak that thing, put our stamp on it, and let these kids get out here and really get it done. So I'm anxious. I think as most coaches, you're ready to get the season started. You're ready to see what you guys look like, especially when we've had a great summer, when we've had a real good workout season. It's anxious. You're anxious. You're anxious. You know, you really want to have to get up. So this coming Monday, October 29th, is the official start date of high school basketball. We get in there, we start, and we play in 5 days. That Saturday, we play our first through what we call these are like scrimmage games, if you call them. They call them play dates. They don't count. It's just a chance for you to meet somebody else. So we're on a short window, 5 days, and we're on the floor. So we're really, we and myself are really, really excited.
Okay, it's funny because I just thought of a question to ask you, and I was sitting here thinking about what it was like to be a player and what I was taught about how to play the game and what it meant to win. But
Hmm.
what is it that you have learned about yourself as a coach over a period of years when it comes to wins and losses? What have you learned about yourself?
I still want to win. That has not changed, and that desire to get out there and put the best product I can on the floor every time that I'm involved has not changed. But what it has also taught me is a balance. You know, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose, and I always want to. So I think one of the things I'm learning, and I'm not sure I've learned it yet, is there's no such thing as a moral victory. We either won the game or we didn't. But I'm able now to look at how well did we play, how well did we execute. Did we get outplayed, or did we just not execute? There's a difference. There's a difference in my mind. So I'm learning to accept that as what it is and get the best out of it. Use it as our stepping stone and practice for the next game and practice that we have. And I try not to wear that loss too bad. Wear it for the rest of the evening, but the next day, quite honestly, later on that night, I try to let that go. And
Okay,
I'm learning to stop looking back and start looking forward. Do not judge everything that I want to succeed by one loss or even by one win. I think is how I look at how much the kids enjoyed it, how well did they compete, did we have how well we followed the game plan, did they actually come away and have some fun in getting it done, and then if we lost it, we don't want to hang our head. We won't be defined by one loss or by one win. It's a matter of it's a stepping stone. It's a matter of building up to that point and getting ready for later on down the season. And then ultimately, still at all costs, in my opinion, is building relationships. We get to be together in battle. We get to be together in stressful situations. We get to celebrate. We get to enjoy disappointment, even losses, and we get to enjoy wins. So I think it's just a continual building process for the ultimate goal is for us to be ready by the end of the season to compete in district play.
Well, and then, talking about this, as I look back, how important is it? What is it like? Because now times are so different. Because when I played, parents and players was not so vocal and didn't have much of a voice. What is it like as a coach now versus, let's just say, 15, 20 years ago, in building the relationship and the trust that you try to build with the players? How much is that important to you, or how much is that important to the team and the concept when you're trying to get the players to buy into your concept and your philosophy?
Well, that has not changed in my opinion. It's still just as critical, if not even more so critical to me. Is the first thing I want to do is build a relationship with the players that I'm playing with. I want to respect their parents as their parents, and that's their loved one, and they want the best for their child. And I 100% understand that and support that. However, my first impression is to build a relationship with that young man because he and I are the one that will be in battle together, so to speak. I want him to learn to trust my judgment, trust my instruction, trust that I would never put him in a situation that's going to harm him. Trust my decision, even if you don't agree with it, because you believe that I will always do what's best for the team, not the individuals on the team, but for the team itself. So to me, it's a continual effort to build relationships. And let me go ahead and say it. Yes, there's an awful lot of discourse between parent, coaches, and team. And I'm trying to minimize that by treating the parent with respect and understand that this is your child, but also ask for respect that I'm the coaching your child. And our philosophies and methods and things may be different, but I have the best for your child. I really care about him. And I'm going to do all I can to give him the best opportunity to be the best player that can contribute the most to the concept of the team, that he'll be a part of this team. He'll have to work to get it. You're not going to give it to him, but he's going to have to work it. And then the opportunity to be a part of hopefully what we consider a family-oriented atmosphere, a hard-working atmosphere, and a goal-oriented effort to achieve the goals that we want to make.
Now, how frustrating is it? Because part of that question goes back to now that I'm older and I realize how difficult it must be, especially, let's just say you're coaching well, actually any team, but with football you have so many more players. But the difficulty of all the different personalities, trying to find what button to push with each player, because each player is different when it comes to
Right.
trying to motivate, get them to understand. There's certain players that you can be in their face and they can handle it. There's other players you can be in their face and they shut down. There's other
Right.
players you really need to be in their face. And so for you to figure out each personality, each characteristic, and how to deal with that, when did you learn that that was part of the game, and when did you realize that was just part of it, and that are you any better at it now than you were, let's just say, 10, 15 years ago?
Well, it was 10, 15, 20, 10, 15 years ago in a game, an AAU game, I was coaching a team in, when a guy from the stand came down and said to me, I love the personality of your team. They have your personality. And I didn't understand what that meant. And I think I misunderstood it because we had won that particular game and we were all excited and happy about it. And the comment kind of went over my head. And a couple of days later, and that question kind of loomed in my mind. I didn't quite understand what he meant by that at the moment. But what I later learned is that through the way I act, the things that I say, the things that I do, and how I carry myself in those situations, win, lose, or whatever, they begin to mimic that in a sense, whether they even realize it or not. So, and coming from a military background, being involved in team sports myself, working with in large groups, I've learned the importance of relationship building, getting to know each individual where he stands, how I have a personal relationship with each one of them. Then I try to find the group dynamic. Okay, so we're all here for a common goal, but tell me what your goal is. Let me know something about you as a person. So I've learned, and then I've experienced that. I've been on a team where a coach took the time to get to know me. So our conversations then were more directed toward me, not just the group. And I've taken on that philosophy, and I think I'm much better at it now than I was before. And I thought I did a decent job now then, but I really do. I take the time in the summer months, doing workouts, doing our conditioning to get to know them, who they are, what's your habits, what's your favorite team, what's your, besides basketball, what else do you like? What kind of music do you like? What kind of books do you read? We have those, so I get to know who they are. So then I can build on that relationship of trust, that relationship of dependability, and then just a relationship of me to him, not coach to player, but just one person to another. And I found that to be invaluable. And that's always the first thing that I do is I want that kid to know that I love him as a basketball player, but I also love him as a person first.
You know what's funny, because life is kind of funny, and I can think of some different scenarios, and it happens during the season. But and I won't ask you to pinpoint which one, but do you remember through the years of coaching where there was someone that played on the team that didn't play that much, but was there? They came to practice every day, and then right at maybe like towards the last part of the season, there's a couple of more games, and they got a chance to go into the game, and something really positive happened, and it was just like everybody went crazy. Because, but
Yeah.
for some reason, that always happened at some part of the season somewhere, you know.
And Charles, over the many years that I've been involved in sport, period, football, basketball, and even baseball, there's been one of those every year. I can remember my first year here, my second. So he's been gone 2 years, 1 year now. Maybe last year before. Yeah, I think it was last season. This young man was a heck of a player. Just had too many better players in front of him. Became to practice, and I've had this happen 3 times since we've been here. But this particular kid, I just remember him. He he just gave 100% effort every day. He never complained. Always asked questions, make sure he understand. He went out and just gave it all he had. And toward the last part of the season, we put him in a game, and this young man knocked down 3 or 4 threes, and everybody went crazy. I got so excited for him, and yet come back practice on the next day. He right back in his position. Put him in the next game. He hit 3 threes. Put him in the last game. He hit 3 more threes. I think he hit 4 threes. I call him the 3-point phenomenon because if we had more time, more games, or if that young man had come back and played this season, there's no telling what he would have done. So you've always got that one. We had a kid when he first got here, never said a mumbling word. Young man just gave it all he had every day, every drill, every practice. He never got in several games. He never got in. He never parted his lip. Still there to ask him, Coach, how do you do this? Is this the right way to do it? And then what we learned from watching him is he really understood the game. His skill level was very low, but his IQ was off the roof. He saw things from a coaching standpoint. He sit on the bench, and he was like a coach on the bench. So those things give you excitement because you want every kid to play, but you got to do what's best for the team, and that's one of the concepts I think we're trying to get players to understand. It's nothing, no, it's about what's best for the team. I mean, but we try to have each player needs to have a contribution. So what is your contribution? So you get one of those. In fact, I'm starting to look for those guys. I can recognize, okay, you're not going to get much playing time, but what kind of teammate are you going to be? Are you going to be one of those rah rah guys, or are you going to be one of those guys that sit on the bench and pout? Well, pouting is not an option. This is a team sport, and if we decide to keep you, then your contribution, you got to find your contribution. So you always have one of those, and I'm starting now to look for them because they're a motivation for me. After losses, they come in, and these what I've experienced with these guys, even after losses, they're the first one in the gym. The first one in the gym. Hey, coach, how you doing? And because you don't, sometimes you're trying to see what your team is going to act like after that tough loss last night. These guys were the first guys in the gym. Coach, how you doing?
Yeah.
Taking that shot and working on coach. It's going to be a good day today. That kind of stuff motivates me to change my mind. That okay, all right. And one of the things that was impressive that all the players had a great deal of respect for these guys.
Right. One of the things that we talked about last week and the week before was that we was talking about the devastation of the Hurricane Michael. Did get some
Right.
feedback from some people, and it just
Mm-hmm.
heard on the news that about a week they should have power restored to everyone up in that area in
Oh, that's
the
fantastic.
Panhandle.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear from a friend of mine because he was supposed to. I don't know. The gentleman that I told you about that maybe in April we may be in Gaston County up there in Quincy.
Yes.
Remember, right?
Yes.
And I sent him the information, and I had not got. I mean, he did not get back to me because he was
Mm-hmm.
really excited. So then I sent them the information, and I didn't hear from him for about like a week. And then I texted him, and he said, "Oh, Charles, man, it's just crazy right now. The hurricane went through. There's no power. There's no water. There's so I'm going to get back to you." And then I realized that. Yeah, that hurricane went right through where he is. So,
Right.
but
Mm-hmm.
just to let you know that there's some positive things happening now as people starting to recover. But there's
That's
still a lot of
fantastic.
devastation. There's still people
Yeah.
that is really suffering there. So,
I,
um,
I've been
just
following a little bit in the news and some of the news captions and even some of the newscasts that I've had a chance to see that there has been, some movement. So I'm really glad to hear that and really kind of watching and praying for those people down there that they can get themselves back on the feet, trying to imagine what that must be like. And just so, but I'm happy to hear it. And I hope they will continue to have success in their progress.
right. And also here at Youth Central Sports, we also want to recognize that October is Breast Cancer Month, and
Amen.
many kudos for those out there, and blessings and
Hmm.
prayers for those that's battling that awful battle that you have. And I learned
Right.
that a very close friend of mine in the Miami area, she is battling breast cancer herself,
Hmm.
and I'm actually going to go and have her. I'm going to go talk to her. She's going to be a guest on the Journey 2020 coming up real soon. So many blessings to everyone that's giving the effort and money and time, and blessings to those who, as we know, a difficult battle, very difficult battle,
Yeah.
but
And Charles, too,
yeah, yeah,
I just want to add to that I want our prayers go out to them and their families and to the caregivers. A
right,
lot of times we look at the person who's actually going through the illness or condition, but I know for a fact, from personal experience, the trauma and the stress that the caregiver goes through. And so I pray for caregivers as well as I pray for those victims and people who are suffering, for those people who are standing with them every day, 24 hours a day, however much time they're putting in. They're bearing some real responsibilities, and many times they're bearing the same pain as the person they're giving care
right,
to. And
right,
so
definitely.
just more prayers their way that God would bless both them and the person they're caring for and their families.
It takes a very special person, trust me, very special person.
Yes, I do understand.
Listen, have you been following Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I have. I'm not too excited right now. I'm a Dodger fan. Got that game the other night. That kind of bothers me, but I'm still believing that we're going to be all right.
Well, man, the Dodgers just like, man, if we just could get out of this cold. Get out of this cold.
Yeah, get it back to LA. Get it back to that warm weather. So back like spring training. Let's get out. Let's get it back over there because Boston right now is not a good place to play any kind of sport in.
Yeah, because I mean they're down to the last out right now.
Mm.
Coming up, yeah. The Dodgers are down to the last out, right? Yeah, at the top of the ninth.
Okay. Okay.
Wanted to ask you, did you ever get a chance to see the movie Uncle Drew?
No, I have not. I have not had that chance. Although I've heard a lot of people who have seen it, and I had several people who were skeptical about it, but came away saying, "Hey, man, you need to go see it. It was funny." They talked about some of the performances of some of the players that were involved. So I'm kind of leaning that way a little bit, because as I said, I think when we talked about it, that's really not. Although I'm a sport person and I love that, but that didn't necessarily appeal to me. I think because one of the things that happens, a friend of mine mentioned to me a couple of days ago, sometime in the trailers you get the best part of the movie before you've seen the movie.
Right.
So once you see the best, well, okay, I don't necessarily need to go see that. I've kind of seen the part that I like, so to speak. But I'm hearing more and more good things about it, so I may have to in fact, I may go. I may have to go see it after all.
Okay. Now, the funny thing is, I was intending to bring this up about 2 weeks ago, but did you see Gilbert Arenas about 2 or 3 weeks ago when he was in the gym, and I guess he had a bag of a bunch of money, and I guess he was supposed to have been meeting somebody at the gym, and they was gonna have a shooting contest, and he actually made 95 out of 100 jump shots on the court.
No, I did not see that.
Oh yeah,
I'm surprised. Gilbert Arenas?
yeah. He he showed his bag of money. He had a a stack of money, and I guess
Hmm.
whoever, and he was saying, I knew he wasn't gonna show up. I knew he wasn't gonna show up because he had his money. So I guess the other person supposed to have brought in and had their money. So he went out and he shot 100 jump shots, and he made
Hmm.
95 out of 100.
Wow,
So
that is
yeah,
that,
yeah, and
that's
and
very impressive.
yeah, and they were all, they wasn't like, like 10 footers. They was at least 20, 20
Hmm.
footers or further,
Hmm.
and he made
Right.
95 out of 100.
Well, that other person may have been a smart person not to show up. If you're gonna have that kind of a shooting day, I'm surprised they would even want to bet on that.
Now, did you read, or can you give us an update on this young player who doing the intern at New Balance? You got any info on that?
No, I do not. Not at this time. Not
Oh,
at this time. I do not.
I
I
did.
am. Mhm.
Yeah, I did see the young man that's supposed to be his agent on what's the show? Jump.
The jump.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was on there today, and he was talking about the whole concept about that. So I was just wondering, I'm gonna. Oh, I did see the email that you was talking about that you sent out
Okay.
about the Sports Illustrated. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
Okay. And refresh my memory now, because I ran. I'm not sure which one I sent you.
No, oh, the one about the is it Junior Bridgman?
Oh, hold on. Let me quick second. Let me see if I can find that.
Remember, he's supposed to him and somebody else supposed to, I think is buying sports. Is it Sports Illustrated? Remember,
Right.
because you
Right. Right. Yeah. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, I saw that, and I thought that was extremely interesting because there over the past there have been some allegations that Sports Illustrated has not been as fair as in a lot of reporting. I've had some encounters with them and did not think the reporting that they did was accurate and or fair. And some of the subject matter, the slant that they have. So I thought it'd be interesting to see as Junior just expands his business empire because he's a heck of an entrepreneur, and then this is quite a feat for to see an athlete take charge of that. So that was kind of interesting to see how that unfolds. Once again, understanding that athletes, these guys are really, there's a lot more to them sometimes than we think. That we get a chance to see that they're real people and they have true interests and they have big hearts, but they're also good business people. And that's a heck of a move, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, Sports Illustrated. I mean,
Mm.
ooh, that's
That's big. That'd be something great to put in his portfolio.
right. Wow, wow.
So
So,
that, yeah, I'm kind of tracking to see how that unfolds. I also just I neglected to mention this, and this is right here in my area. You remember Kenny Anderson,
right. Uh huh.
played at Georgia Tech, where he's now the
Right.
new
Uh huh.
boys basketball coach
Lefty.
at Fisk University right here in Nashville. And I had a chance to, in fact, I was in over at Fisk earlier this summer. He had not been named as of yet, but I think last month they hired him. So I am trying to get over there to see. Number one, to get a chance to welcome him to the area and introduce myself as a high school, program, and see, because we do have one kid from my program who's over there. He came over last year, so that gives us a reason to be involved, and we become a feeder just to see Kenny Anderson, a quality NBA ball player, Hall of Famer, or potential Hall of Famer. I think he's in the Hall. Uh, uh, over in the area coaching at Fisk. Now, two things somebody said to me the other day. Obviously, he's not making a lot of money, but I think he's building his coaching resume.
Right.
And they've got some decent athletes over there, so it's going to be interesting to see how that how that comes about. So kind of excited about seeing him. And I talked with the rep, an Adidas rep the other day. He's going to try to. I'm going over with him one day and just trying to introduce myself. Talk a little basketball, and let him know that hey, we made a couple. You're always good to know college coaches, and they always want to know high school coaches, so they
Right.
can make that connection. So it's great to have him in the area. Kind of looking forward to it. This could be exciting.
Do you, do you have an update on the NCAA investigation? Because I heard there was a little something that happened, some testimony about something. I I,
Yeah,
I
today
think I heard a little birdie
they
in the window.
yeah they indicted two guys. Federal. Here's a little snippet. A federal judge in Manhattan found former Adidas executive James Gatto, business manager Christopher Dawkins, and amateur league director Mikael Cole guilty of fraud charges. Bill Self, and Rick Pitino both, and the father of a prize recruit Brian Bowen Jr. describing how Louisville assistants handed him envelopes with stuffed money. They got Self on a conversation, telephone conversation, and where he alluded to we can make that happen. What does it take to get that? And so they got him on. They got him actually discussing the possibility of money's exchanging hands. Bettino already has been fired from Louisville, but now he's been named in this. So that's the first group that's recorded, wiretap recorded information. So it's real stuff. I don't know what the school is going to do about Self yet, but Louisville has already gotten rid of Patino. I don't know if what Kansas will do about Bill Self. And I understand from the ladies that that's just the beginning. They got a lot more to go to because these guys, these Adidas guys, are involved in a lot of other activity, naming other schools as well. This is going to be coming forth very shortly. So this is ongoing.
Right.
It's a shame. It's an absolute disgrace to the game, but we all know that it's real. The true, some of the true, everybody's a victim, but I think the kids are the most. They'll be victimized more than anybody else. But again, some attempt to clean this up. There's an awful lot of conversation. I talked with a group of people the other day who said that despite all of this, they don't think it's going to get any better. And then I talked to another group who said, hey, great steps to cleaning it up. So I guess it depends on how you look at it. But one way or another, something has to be done. So here's the first steps.
Wow. Yeah. It's well. You and I both know that there's more. That there's more to come.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
Oh.
No question. There's a lot more to come because they got 50
Yeah.
universities. They got 50
Yeah.
schools involved. Here we're just talking about two. three. I think they in there they mentioned a couple of other schools as well, which I won't mention right now until it'll come out later on.
Right.
But that's two that they're definitely indicted, and they're looking at so many others. So they, one comment was made: the only schools that were not involved in any questionable behavior were the teams last year that had the worst records in their leagues. So they're saying all winning programs were affected, and that affects my favorite schools or somebody else's favorite school, but to what degree? Because one of the things that you're seeing, and some of the kids that are being questioned, is that they're not saying that that young man himself directly received any favor or any compensation, but his group, his handlers, in some cases his family, and that's against NCAA rules, but nothing directly to the kid. They just swayed him. So they paid somebody. You got paid to sway him to go to that school. While I understand, I just hope no kids become further victimized than that. But you never know. There's a lot more to come.
Wow. Well, I know you're not surprised. I mean, I'm not
No.
surprised. It's just I'm actually surprised that it took so long.
Well, yes, I agree. I thought we're going to handle on this long before now, and they probably should have. But I think what happened is it has hit home. It has touched a lot of people, and it's gotten out of hand. And like everything else, it's going to get to that point where it's going to be uncontrollable, and that's what you have now.
No, when I was speaking earlier about the New Balance and the gentleman, and I'm gonna have to look it up, that he
Mm-hmm.
is doing the intern thing, and he was a McDonald All American. The intern,
Right.
he's I think he signed for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to look up more about what this is about, but as this thing
Okay.
starting to change and sports is starting to change, this whole concept of everything is always about the money, always will be about the money. And then I think the biggest gripe that everyone has is that the money that these colleges are making off these kids, but yet
Mm-hmm.
the kids are still just, they're so limited, and with all these rules and everything else, and everybody else is making so much money off of them. So
Well, yeah.
it'll be interesting to see, how they're going to try to work this out.
Well, the colleges, a lot of your college coaches have difference in opinion. Like a Calipari said, kids should be compensated. Jim Boeheim said they shouldn't be compensated. So I think it's a matter of how you look at it, and I think it's about what's the equity of it all. That's what, or the inequity of it all, is what brings the biggest question. Because I think one of the things one of the sides is trying to control that contribution to the point that that athlete gets an unfair advantage over a non-athlete, trying to keep parity. That also that giving gets out of hand. That we're giving in essence too much. Um, and then one of the other and then you get control factors. You get people trying to leverage that athlete because of that money, or so on and so forth. Good argument, excellent argument. But on the other side, there's a great deal of concern about compensating that player because of the amount of money the school is making off of his image. The other argument is, well, we're giving him an education. He's getting a free education, getting a free life experience and opportunity to play the game and get an education and play the game of basketball. Good argument there. Also, a good argument on the other side. He needs more than that to survive. He's got to live every day. He's got all these other things. So I think both sides have great arguments, but you got the athlete caught in the middle. So what are we going to do? So how are we going to regulate that? If you're going to give him stipends, how are you going to do that? How's that going to be matched? So it's a mess. What they're trying to do is make something that's been illegal all along legal, and they run into a lot of problems.
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, they try to regulate it to the point that is so unfair, or the
Yes,
rhyme and the reason,
right.
and it's just little things that drives you crazy about how they do what they do, and especially when they benefit so much of all this money that they make. So something just doesn't seem right. about how they benefit. So, and how the rules benefit the coach, and how the coach can leave, and how the coach can do that, and how the coach is being paid all this money. But how difficult would it be that if I'm a student athlete and I need to go home because somebody died? Now I gotta, I mean, it's just little things like that.
Well,
It,
and a lot of that comes from the fact that it's been done with the best of intentions, but handled so incorrectly. They've taken that same premise and took it outside the boundary line. Somebody took advantage of that scenario. Well, there's a death in the family, an emergency. I had to do this, and then you come to find out that's not true. It's just a way to use it. So there's no question on the athlete. So you had a case out there, and that kid actually won uh, against them about using his image of him without his consent, and they ruled to be so. Now this embattlement comes in. Is okay. So we know you're making the money. Then why don't you share it with the athlete? So how do you do that? Because now the inequity comes. You got a English major who's going to school just like this athlete. Why are you not paying them? And that's why the question. So why aren't you selling the English major's image then, so that you could give him some money, just like you selling the athlete's image? And I said, to me, it became very ridiculous, but it's a reality of the problem that we're facing. Do you compensate that athlete or not? And if you're not going to compensate him, it's got to be clear across the board. Will the school promote him for their advantage to increase their ticket sales or increase their value in the marketplace? Yes, they will. Is that fair? Is that unfair? That's the. I can hear you.
okay, all right, yeah, yeah. I was saying, we lost you when you were talking about the image of the English teacher and the payment and that madness as well. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's a mess. I mean, especially when you
it is a mess.
involve that kind of money, and they don't know
Mm-hmm.
what to do because I mean, they don't know, Vince, how to deal with this thing in which they say, well, we're giving you a free education. Okay, because we're kind of ignorant when it comes to academics anyway. How we stigmatize and how we label people based on education, how we learn, the way we learn, and what we learn. So we're kind of ignorant on that as well. And so with that being said, so now we're saying, well, because you're in college, which is supposed to be your key to success, which is not true, uh,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily true, but that's why
Right.
this New Balance thing that's going on with this young kid, this McDonald's All American, and now they signed him to an internship because he does not. He was supposed to go to Syracuse, but he withdrew from Syracuse. Now he signed this New Balance intern thing, and however he's going to do what he's going to do to go over there and learn, but he already going to get $1 million. So
Well,
it's a new trend.
but Charles, if you look at it, that's the other part of what the NCAA is proposing now, with their new one, eliminating the one and done and creating this opportunity for these kids to go to something you and I have discussed, is allowing this kid the opportunity to go directly from high school to the G League. Now, the difference with that, which I think is a great concept, if the kid doesn't want to go to college, because that's really not his. He doesn't intend to be there 4 years and get a degree. He just wants to go 1 year so he can springboard himself to the NBA. Okay, if that's the case, and you have no other interest as it relates to your education, then take that route. Now, here's where that gets a little bit complicated. Although I think it makes sense, but again, this is going to be a time tested effort to try to figure it out. You remember once before when they started initiating this concept, they were talking about the elite players, ones that can go to college, leave college, go to pros. Even if they get an agent, they're going to allow them to come back if they didn't get drafted.
Right.
That kid is called the elite player. So what they're proposing now is that in 2020, 2022, they're going to eliminate the one and done. So what they're going to do now, they're going to, if it is an elite player, and I think he'll be judged by being top in the ESPN polls, coaching polls, or whatever other criteria they use, that player will be called an elite player. He'll get $125,000 as a contractual agreement to be over there, so he can then he can earn his way up. If he's not an elite player, then he'll get a regular G League salary, which is about $35,000 to go over there and play. I'm okay with the concept of high school to try to go to try to make the G League, to then try to better yourself, to either go overseas and play ball, or go on to the NBA as a career path. That makes sense to me, because the kid is not interested in getting an education. And I'm saying, if he's not, then don't waste that spot in school for another athlete who wants to be a true student athlete. Not criticizing either one of them. I'm just saying, make it easier for him. But the problem I think you're going to have is when you started judging elite athletes. There will be some real stringent criteria to get to that. People are going to come away and say it's not fair. We're going to have that argument until we kind of work this. You can see that coming, but It makes sense. It makes sense. Again, you're not going to pay this college athlete, then send him to the G League, where he has an opportunity to make at least 30, 35. I don't know. I think it's around 35,000 a year. That he gets to play ball and hone his skills, get looked at, possibly get on somebody's roster and makes the money he wants to make. Great career path from wanting to be a professional player. I think from that perspective. But now they're going to have to find out, leveling the playing field is anytime it's new like that, you come up with a great concept, then reality kicks in. So I think I'm believing that I like it. We just got to make sure that it's clear. The priorities, the criteria is there. Again, not everybody's going to agree with it, but at least you have something to stand on and say, the reason I picked Charles Morse was because of the following reason. This is why he is an elite player, which qualifies him for this and that. So yet to see how it works out. But I like where they're going. But there's always some drawbacks. I'm sure somebody can give you a different kind of argument. But for me right now, as I perceive it and what I've read, I like the idea.
Oh, okay. Well, the thing is that they do need to do something, and then if that player make that choice, then that's their choice, and they have to deal with the choices that they make.
Yeah. Well, there's some conversation still about the opportunity for him if he decides to turn around and go to what happens to his status as an amateur player, because if he gets an agent, once he gets play for pay, which creates the problem that you have right now for the investigation. He's a collegiate athlete, and you're treating him like professional because you're paying them to play, or you're paying for favor for them, and which brings up that whole play for pay thing. Now some of the critics are saying, well, I want the kid to be able to go back to college. Well, wait a minute. Now he can't do both. He can't go over there and sign a G League contract. We pay him 35, and then he doesn't make it. Now I want to go back to college, and you want them to pay for that? No, I don't. Now, personally, I think we don't do that. Then you want to talk about his status to be able to return to play collegiate ball. I'm on the fence about that, because I think he made a career decision, that he wanted to do that. But if you're going to let him back, he shouldn't be qualified for scholarship.
Right, and that's what I meant by once he make that decision, then he got to live with that decision.
Yeah, it's a big boy decision. Yeah, right. Now that's how I feel right now, until I can see a different side of that argument, which I haven't seen thus far, but I'm sure it's coming. All
right. Ready for your wind sprint?
Absolutely. I took a lap earlier today just to get ready.
Okay. All right. My question is, very much so, how old were you when you got your first pair of Chuck Taylors?
Oh, I was around 12, 13 years old.
Okay. How old were you when you stopped wearing your Chuck Taylors?
15.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't wear them for about 3 years.
Wow, man, you stopped wearing them early.
Yeah, I got introduced to some other shoes, and I got excited. And actually, I thought my game had matched. I thought my enthusiasm had matched my skill level. And I found out I had more enthusiasm than I had skill, but I had already made the shoe change.
Best female basketball player you ever played against?
A girl named Vancia Hill, I think her name was, in high school. I ran into her on the court one day, and she wanted to play with the boys. And I thought, yeah, okay, come on. And this girl lit us up out there. I mean, she, she lit us up,
Oh yeah.
and not only was she shooting the jumper, she was taking us to the cup. And we were like, well, we don't want to hurt her. After a while, we said, shoot, man, we're going to have to put something on. But she going, because she was winning game after game after game. I never will forget
Have you ever played any sport in high school? When you got on the bus, they started throwing rocks when you was leaving.
oh, yes. Absolutely. Football.
Does any of your daughters know how to change a tire?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, for sure.
Okay.
They might not change it, but they know how to change it.
Okay. Have you
They
ever
can
been in any
instruct you on how to change it.
establishment and it was being robbed?
No, I've been in right after one.
Right.
I've been lucky. I went in one before it got robbed, and I went in one right after it had gotten robbed. I've never been in one while it was being robbed. Not yet.
Okay. Over the time when you were a kid, how many dogs did you have?
6.
And what was the name of your best dog?
Lassie.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, that big car looked just like Lassie on TV. Looked just almost identical, same color, everything.
The millennials have no idea what we're talking about right now when it comes to
No,
Lassie.
they
Right,
probably
right.
don't know what I'm talking about.
Talking with Dave Washington, he said while he was in the army, they had him out in the jungle and he had to eat monkey meat and snakes. Did you ever had to eat anything like that while you were in the service?
Only service of what they call field rations. That's the only thing that I've had that comes close to what he's talking about. I have not had that kind of field experience, and I'm very happy I did not.
Yeah, man, he talks about that monkey meat out there eating monkey meat and
Mm-mm.
snakes and
Well,
da, da,
now
da.
I'm sure if you ask Dave about the military field rations, it tastes like monkey meat. That's starting to make it. This stuff's been pre-packed and sat in a warehouse for some time for years.
Right,
Now it does get you past the moment of being hungry.
right.
It will suffice in that, and supposedly there's some nutrients in it, which I find it hard to believe if it's sitting on the shelf for so long. But I
Yeah,
can tell you that it will get you past hungry, but it won't last long. But it'll get you past that moment. You
yeah,
don't have to
cause
eat
I
a whole
was,
lot of them
cause,
bad boys to be
cause
full.
I had Ron on the show, the Journey 2020 about a month or so ago, and I was asking him about
Mm-hmm.
his service and serving in
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam. And so I asked him
Mm-hmm.
that question. I said, how did you guys eat your meals? And he was trying to explain it to me about how they give you this stuff and then you make a fire and you
Mm-hmm.
do this and you do that.
Yeah,
And I guess that's what you're
you
talking
can't
about.
find all right. See, and then again, too, it depends what type of service you in, what you know, geographic location, weather conditions, and whether you're something in the summer or something in the winter, what the terrain is like, and all of that. But ideally, they give you what they call sea rations. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
I call them field rations, but it's sea rations. And that, I've talked to now, especially now. I don't know what it's like today. I haven't talked to anybody most recently, and I easily find that out too. But I know that they tried to they tried to improve on that. I don't know how well they worked out on that. But yeah, in some areas that people are able to take local livestock and eat it, do some hunting and rabbits and that kind of stuff. But in some conditions where you don't have that, you got to take what's available. And I have heard of that too about snake meat and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, no, I've been looking for some berries off a tree somewhere. I'd have definitely been a vegetarian for sure.
Okay. You got the world biggest cocktail party going on coming up this weekend in
What?
Jacksonville. The
Okay.
world largest outdoor cocktail party. Florida Gators, Georgia
Oh yeah,
Bulldogs.
Gators. Oh yeah, that's going. Oh man, that's going to be huge. I forgot about that game. I can remember attending one of those, and it was an absolute ball. I mean, people were everywhere, and they were just as divided as North and South. But it turned out to be a great day. of football and atmosphere and rivalry. So yeah, that's be big. That's been a long time ago, and I think it's so much larger now than when I had that opportunity to attend.
You know, I think Florida State is supposed to be playing against Notre Dame. I think that's coming up. Notre Dame been looking good this year. If they're playing
Yeah,
it, if they're playing at Notre Dame, I would expect Notre Dame to win that game at Notre Dame. But if they're playing at Florida State, I expect it to be a little closer.
yeah. Florida State has come back and played some decent ball. I mean, the guy was under fire or perceived to be under fire anyway. But I felt like, okay, hopefully you give them a season to see what can happen. The guy at Nebraska got their first win last weekend, big win
All right,
too. I mean, they
Frost.
didn't win by, Frost he didn't win by one or two. He had a big margin. It takes time. Meanwhile, the guy at UCF is still undefeated, rolling right along. So you got to have some talent. These coaches are not miracle workers. They can't take it. If they don't have talent, they cannot win. They just simply cannot get it done. You can compete,
All
but you
right.
can't expect them to win. So I'm
But
happy to
speak.
see these guys are surviving.
All right.
I'm glad to see they're surviving. I mean, I do understand they have to be productive, but I think they're showing that by putting pretty decent squads on the field.
Speaking of talent and so on, and what the heck is going on with New York Giants? Are they having a fire sale?
Uh, oh man, the Giants. I'm not exactly sure up there. I think we are getting ready to have a fire sale. There's been some conversation about Eli going, them getting rid of Eli, but it's just one of those times, man. They falling on hard times. I mean, I think Eli is still efficient, just don't have anything to work with.
Right.
Beckham,
What can you do
Beckham
when
is
you're
a problem.
constantly running for your life?
But yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They want to fault Eli, but it's not all. That's not necessarily all his fault. Beckham is a headache. He's another Terrell Owens or Dez Bryant, just constantly bumping his gums about and complaining about this and complaining about that. And where while it may be valid, he could have some valid arguments. I think that's something you talk about in the locker room, and then you have to look at it on the field. Yeah, you want him to throw you the ball, but I'm sure he would like to if he had time. If he had time, he probably would throw it to him. So they got problems. They're breaking down out there. Something's going to have to change, and unfortunately, they'll probably look at the coach first and want to fire him.
Do you
Philadelphia, you got to ask what's going on. What's going on in Philadelphia? Defending champions. It's always hard to come back and win a second Super Bowl, but you expect your season, and they may write this shit before the season is over. But at what cost would they have? Where would they be when they turn this thing around? Which they got to turn around really, because we're almost mid-season.
do you think
Cowboys,
that
my Cowboys go out there and they throw it down the highway, and penalties killed us in that one. I mean, here we had a 46-yard field goal to tie the game, to take us to overtime, give us a chance to win. We get a real stupid penalty, and we back it up to 52, and the guy hits the goalpost and it comes out. I mean, now they want to fault the coach for that. You want to, well, that's a kid, man. I mean, that's a mental discipline there that we made a mistake because they were getting beat up really bad by Washington, which I was surprised
right?
by. But they
Yeah.
came back and made it a game. They got back into it, really made it a very competitive game. And at least a tie game, we get another shot at it, and we hit the goalpost. My goodness, what the heck is going on out there? You know what I'm saying? So that division is becoming extremely interesting. God, it's up and down and sideways. Kansas City still rolling along,
Right.
looking really good. Surprised the Rams. I'm still waiting for them to fall down, but they still seem to be standing up. I see that the Cowboys went with the Raiders and got Amari Cooper,
Right.
a
Cooper.
receiver they
Yeah.
brought over from over there, which will kind of improve their receiving core. Raiders, they just gonna have they're gonna my guy over there, Gruden. I can call Lou Jackson, and they can really sympathize with one another because the guy at Cleveland, God knows Charles. I mean, no matter what you say, these guys are showing up every Sunday and playing their brains out. It's just not happening for him. Same thing in Detroit. This guy started off 2 games, got told, they just got beat up. Now they come back and they're 2-2.
Right.
So it takes time. I mean, these guys, I mean, it just takes time to turn these ships around. I'm still waiting for New England to fall down, and they're showing signs of it, but they're staying propped up and they keep rolling.
Yeah. Do you think that Jacksonville has given up on your boy Bartles, Blake?
That's a tough question because Ballers is up and well, you prior to their run last year, if you can remember before that, his whole season was up and down. One week he's quarterback rating is out off the chart. The next week you think he's never seen a football. So he can't get. And then when he hit that level of consistency, Jacksonville just took off and put. They didn't do bad against Tennessee. Lost by 1 point. So I don't think you give up on him, but I think one of the things that need to be looked at is perhaps what are you asking him to do? Maybe you shorten his the play calling, or you change the plays and try to take more advantage of his strengths or the team strengths or something like that before you give up on him. If you simplify it and he can't get it done, then you might then you might be looking at getting rid of it or not getting rid of him, but changing quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah. I think your Lakers are 0-3, right? Your Lakers are 0-3.
Well, they're not my Lakers. I've said going in all along that they're right on schedule as far as I'm concerned. Those people who are saying they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to be a 4 seed. I'm saying you got your seasons mixed up. You're talking about next year. You're not talking about this year. If they make it at all, they'll be an 8 seed. Has been my prediction.
And actually, you know what? They're gonna get their first win tonight because they're leading the Suns big time right now in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
So
is it less than 2 minutes? It's not guaranteed.
No.
I mean, they're not going to go under. These guys are not going to go winless. That's not going to happen. They're going to win some games, but they're not going to be anywhere where people. I don't even think the organization thinks that.
Right.
They don't believe that. They recognize that they're going to have some good weeks. They're going to have some good games, but they're also going to lose a lot of games because it takes time, experience. That fight that they had out there, that was just.
Oh yeah. I wanted to talk with you about that.
Yeah, that's embarrassing in my opinion. But you notice James Harden, LeBron James, those guys stayed as far away from that as they possibly. Even though it started with Harden, it stayed as far. You didn't see them in there trying to break nobody up. You saw them get as far away from that as possible. That's what maturity tells you. That's what experience tells you. I'm disappointed at the penalties that they gave out, not the dollar amounts, but the games lost. I think Ingram should have a minimum of 8 games. He started this fight.
Right.
They took him away from it. He came back to the fight and threw a punch.
Right.
To me, that's a minimum of 8 games that he would be gone. And for Paul and Rondo, experienced veteran ball players, it should be a minimum of 4 games missed for them as well. I don't like the discipline. I forgot the dollars that they charge them. 6-digit fines, but those guys not going to miss that money. But the fact that but not playing and the penalty for not playing, I think is more critical.
Right.
Lead singer for the Hot Chili Peppers. Are you familiar with them? Someone was telling me about this. This guy sitting courtside and runs out on the court, want to get in the melee. I'm thinking, have you lost your mind? You bought your season ticket holder sitting on the front row. That does not entitle you to game activity. you are a fan, but you want to jump off and get your brains knocked out there. But security stopped him from getting on the court. If I'd have been security, I'd have said, "Oops, he got by," and let him go right on out. I mean, that's silly.
Hey.
And it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, that kind of behavior is what these young kids see, and they're mimicking these guys anyway. And this just further exasperates the whole situation because that's what they see. That's the way they see you resolve your issues. I mean, the arguing stuff like that, that's bad enough. I mean, I'm not saying don't express yourself because I know I do the same thing. But to throw punches and stuff like that, I know you're frustrated. gosh knows I understand that better than or as well as anybody. But you've got to restrain yourself. You got to restrain yourself. And I just thought it was embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, the thing
But some
is,
good punches were
honestly,
thrown out. I do want to say that.
yeah, I was watching, I was looking at the videotape, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like I'm talking now, right? But when you get ready
Mm-hmm.
to spit, Vince, you pucker. He puckered. If you look at it,
But I
because you
think.
when you spit, you have to, and that's what he
Mhm.
did. And I'm like, well,
Well,
he was just talking, and no, 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 he puckered. And he spit.
yeah, I saw that. That's kind of what I thought I saw too. And I said, at minimum, he was enunciating, and sometimes people do that. But that video showed Chris turn his head during
Right.
the course of their conversation, and so that meant something came his way. And
You
you're
could
right. In
see
order
it.
to spit, or you,
You could
yeah.
see it.
So Rondo can say what he wants, but it definitely looks like he. But that does not make it okay for them to have that melee that they had. But I understand the frustration, because they don't like each other anyway. So
Right.
they just need a reason to get started. But you didn't see Carmelo Anthony. You saw him grabbing people, trying to separate people. Where was James Harden? He had gone over there and sat down. Where was LeBron? He eventually got hold to Chris Paul. They ran over to the other side of the court, and they're like, "Man, listen, man, we're trying to get to dinner tomorrow. Aren't you coming over to the house for dinner? Come
Right.
on, man.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to eat, because you get ready to go out and get your fronts knocked out, and you're gonna be eating soup at the house. So, so
Soup is not
but
being served, man.
again,
Soup is not being served.
that's right. That's not on the menu. So, and that's that immaturity. That's the first thing I think about these young guys, and then that hood. And I hate to say it like that, but that hood mentality. I'm gonna fight and all of that. Your veteran players, although they do get into that, that they do that. But everybody wants to live to the next day. So now these guys, whatever suspensions they got, where we got 4, 3, and 2
Right.
games,
Yeah.
those are expensive games. Those are very expensive games, and it could hurt your team's chances. And the
Yeah.
Lakers lose 2. Where
Yeah.
Houston only lost 1, Lakers are going to lose 2 players and 2 starters at that.
Okay. Well, before we close out, let's go over Week 8 in the NFL.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. Hope the Cowboys
Dolphins.
I hope we got a week off.
Okay. Dolphins and the Texans.
I'm going with Texans.
The Eagles and the Jaguars. They're playing over in London.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Eagles. Eagles.
Yeah, I go with Eagles. For Fran's sake, I go with the Eagles.
Ravens and the Panthers.
I like the Panthers in that one.
Okay. Broncos and the Chiefs.
Like the Chiefs. Broncos looked pretty good last week too, but I like the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
Browns and the Steelers, man. The Browns just, man. How many overtime games they gonna play this year?
I tell you what, when they do, that's what I'm saying. They're competing. They just can't get over the hump. But you can't say they're not trying, and you
Right.
can't say that guy's not. You can't, Hugh Jackson is not coaching them up. He's giving them all he's got. They're gonna turn that corner, but you just gonna have to be patient. But who they playing? Who again?
Steelers.
Yeah,
Steelers.
I'm gonna give them. Steelers they're starting to put it together a little bit.
Okay, who's that? What's the running back that hasn't showed?
Bell.
Bell. I mean,
Yeah,
what? Yeah, I wonder
I
what's up
think
with
they've
him.
come to the realization he's not going to come. They don't now. They want to get rid of him. They gonna trade him out.
The Seahawks and the Lions.
I'm going to go with the Seahawks, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions won it.
Buccaneers and the Bengals.
The Bengals look pretty good the other day. I saw a little bit of that one of their games. I was kind of impressed, but I really think Tampa's struggling down there. They got then they fired their defensive coordinator, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go with them on that one.
Okay. The Jets and the Bears.
I've been calling the Jets out. I mean, I've been kind of trying to ride that Jet bandwagon, and they struggle a little bit. But I'm gonna give them a chance. I'm giving them one more chance. I'm going with
Okay.
the Jets.
Your favorite team, the Redskins versus the Giants.
I don't really care. In fact, that's a game they can cancel if they'd like to. I don't really care. But I really think based on what I saw the other day, I'm gonna have to go with the Redskins. And that's hard for me to do, but because I don't like the Redskins against themselves in a scrimmage game. But I have to go with the Redskins over the Giants.
Okay, you got the Colts and the Raiders. Two bad teams.
They are both of them are bad. I'm gonna get an edge to the Colts. I'm not a
Okay.
Luck fan. I've never been a Luck fan. I really thought he's overrated. Then he's been out hurt, although he came back the other day and had a pretty decent game. I'm gonna get a Colts the edge on that one.
Okay, the 49ers in Arizona.
Wow. I'll go with the 49ers.
The Packers and the Rams. That should be a good game.
Packers. Yeah, it should be a good. I think the Packers gonna pull this one off.
The Saints and the Vikings.
That could be interesting. I'm gonna go with the Saints.
Okay, now they have the audacity to put this on Monday Night Football. The Patriots and the Bills.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That is an audacity. I mean, I think I would love to go with the Bills, but you got to go with the Patriots on that.
Yeah, Bills suck.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. The
That's
Cowboys,
it.
we are off. We
Yeah,
must be
yeah,
off.
yeah,
We need
yeah.
that time because we may have a new coach by the time we come back. I mean, because
Of course.
they're really not happy with the offensive coordinator, and they're really not happy with Garrett either, Jason Garrett. Last week was one of those situations where I think it's kind of hard to get rid of him because they do. It was just a kick.
Right,
It was just a kick that separated them from at least going into overtime
right.
and having a chance to try to win. But you don't know what else is going on because if he loses the locker room, which I've not been led to believe that he has done yet, but if he loses the locker room, then he might as well be gone.
By the way, next week when your Cowboys play, they're gonna play on Monday night.
Oh well, we get some long time off, time to rest, heal, and get in the film room,
Yeah.
and get on the field and do some work. College
All right.
basketball is
So
around the corner too.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
the big
I
one
was
coming
gonna
up
say
in early
now.
November.
So your first game is when?
Well, we start practice on Monday. We have our first play date that following Saturday, but our official kickoff for regular season is the 13th of November.
Okay. Okay.
We kick it off for real, then we toss it up and go at it for real. So I'm excited to say the least. College basketball is around the corner. We got a big Duke and Kentucky game coming up here early November. I don't like either one of them, but it's official kickoff. Can't wait to see Carolina. I'm gonna go Tar Heels. I can't wait to see us put something on the floor. I'm just excited about that round ball because now I'll switch from NBA to college. I'm only watching the NBA now because there's no college ball. But once that college ball, I look at very little NBA. Although I keep my eye over there because I think this season is some parity in both on East and West Coast, and which kind of still makes for some good basketball. But I'm just a college basketball fan now.
All right, man. They was showing some highlights from the freshman from Duke. What's his name? The big guy, the forward.
Zion,
Yeah,
Zion,
yeah,
big guy. Man, this kid has got some real. A lot of NBA people are saying this kid has really got. He's a highlight film.
right.
A big guy, dunks, throws it hard, got good footwork. But again, and EJ Barrett was #1 player in the country from right there in Mount Bird, coming in playing with Duke as well. And then they got a third freshman coming in. Boy, I can't think of this guy's name. He's a point guard. So they got a strong recruiting class. The challenge that I think they're going to have is can they all play together? Can they play system type ball? Or will Krzyzewski have to turn them loose and let them just get out there and get up and down the floor and try to put a little defensive concept in? That's going to be That's going to be interesting to see. I still think, being a true Carolina fan, I think they're going to struggle when they come up against the Tar Heels because Tar Heels had a strong recruiting class as well. We are we're a little bit more mature this year. We already had some bigs. Those bigs got baptized last year, and then they get a chance to come back now with some new talent coming in. So we're going to be a little bit more experienced. I hope that's to our advantage. I also want to give a shout out for Tony Bradley, a young man I had a chance to coach one summer down from Florida, out of Bradenton, Florida. Had signed, was with Carolina last year. When they won, he had a G League. He got drafted by Utah, put him on a two-way, playing down in the G League, and they just signed, picked up his extension for him to for another 3-year extension. Doesn't look like he's going to get up to the NBA right now, but he's still there. He can consider himself an NBA ball player, and wishing Tony the best, and looking forward to seeing him get on the floor.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know you're looking forward to your season opener, getting ready to get into the gym. I
I'm
know
looking
that
forward to practice on Monday.
I know that your whistle is ready to go.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I got 3 of them, so I mean I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Charles Morse along with the original Coach Carter, where we come to you right here at www.youthcentralsports every Wednesday. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook. You also can look us up on Twitter and Periscope. And again, we want to say thank you for joining us, where we get to talk about this lovely thing that we're all crazy about, and that is sports. So again, for
Amen.
those who we're recognizing October, it's Breast Cancer Month. Many prayers
Amen.
and blessings to those
Amen.
who are facing such a challenge. And we want to recognize you and just let you know that we are thinking of you, and blessings to you and your family. Again, Youth Central Sports, Charles Morris, and the original Coach Carter. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Good night.